So welcome to Primer Chat with Dr. Sandy Webster and Audrey D. Lloyd. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We're back again for another segment. And today we're priming our success in preparation for 2024. And our goal is to really to set ourselves up for success for 2024 and beyond. And so we're going to be talking about closing out 2023 strong and preparing for 2024 and setting goals and visioning it and accomplishing it. So I'll pass it over to you, Dr. Webster, to warm us up.
Well, we're talking about you can't set your goals unless you have your end of year information. It's now December, and you should know or get to know where you are at this point. Did you fulfill your goals from the last year? Are you close to fulfilling your goals from the last year? You have to take into account all the things that happened during the year, whether you fulfilled it or not. And you have to now apply that to next year. You have to bake it into your projections for next year. So if you said, I'm going to end the year at $1 million and it's December, you should know where you are towards that $1 million. Are you trending ahead? Are you lagging behind? You should have some of that, because when you take those numbers and you start to project for next year, if you're behind, the percentage increase for next year might be higher because now you're playing catch up. If you're ahead, you could stay flat, or you could give the same increase that you had this year, or take a real look at your business and say, I could do better. I could double this next year. But you're always using that foundation of how you perform this year as your basis.
And so that look back is really critical to do all the things that you said. But I think in terms of also mindset, right? From the standpoint that if you met your goal, you're exceeding it, that's fantastic. You should celebrate. And if you fell short, I am sure in between there's still some small wins that you can celebrate. And always to take a look at, what did you learn?
Absolutely. I agree with that, because one thing I'm horrible at doing is celebrating. I'm horrible at celebrating. I'm just like, okay, we made our goal. What's the next goal? And you move on to it. And it took me a long time before I actually learned how to stop and say, great job, team. End of year again, bonuses. People did a great job, you give a bonus. Sometimes even if they didn't do a great job, you've got to give a bonus to incentivize them. Right. What were the factors why they didn't make their numbers? Did they work even 10 times harder and outside factors allowed that they didn't make it? Still give them a little incentive so that they're happy and feel like I'm just not working for anything. They at least appreciate my work.
Right. And if you're working for yourself and you don't have anyone who's going to gift you anything, you still have to do something for yourself, whatever that little thing is that you do to recognize the hard work that you've put in, the accomplishments that you've made, and just to say, you know what, I'm at the end of the year and I'm looking forward, I'm getting ready. Because much of all of this, I think, is ceremonial in terms of the mindset that you have to have, right? To really honor what happened in 2023, look it all over, the good, the bad, the in between, and then to say, I'm ready to move forward to bring in the new year and the new goals that I'm preparing to embark on. But I think you had also said offline, Sandy, that, if you're waiting until January 1st of 2024 to now say, I'm going to sit down and write my goals, you're a little late.
Yes, because you want to hit the ground running on January 1.
Right.
It's a new year and you start tracking from January 1. So if you're just setting up your goals, and let's say even if you work with an assistant and they don't know what to do January 1, you can't assess them. You honestly can't assess them starting that day. So you're already losing some ground by January 1. Now's the time to do it in December.
Mhm.
Take a week, take 2 weeks. I try to take the month. Things that you start your marketing plan, start your strategic plan, looking at what you did. Oh, my year just sucked. I need to scrap this whole thing and put a new plan in place. Meet with people who you want to meet with, who are a little bit more knowledgeable about things than you are. If it's your mentor, if it's a coach, sit with them, come up with a new strategy that you're happy with, and start putting that into effect for the next year.
Yeah, so my question for you, was gonna be around what is that model, that or acronym, magic acronym that can be used to remind people of the different aspects of the goal setting process. But before I pass it over to you, I will also say that an important part of setting goals for what you're going to accomplish is also what are you hoping to learn proactively. So it's a new year, and as you prepare for those new goals, things have changed wildly from January of 2023 to where we sit right now, right? In
Yeah.
terms of just many things. Like, I mean, I won't even start the list. So for looking at 2024, that setting should also include your professional development. And it doesn't mean that you have to also be at a company. That's an investment you're going to make in yourself, even if you are an independent person. And it could just be one or two things, but make sure that that's factored in as well. So I'll turn it over to you to talk about the
No, I'll
acronym
say
for
amen
success.
to that because people always leave themselves out, especially the individual single entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs. They leave themselves out of personal development factors all the time. Go take a class for something that you don't know. I'm just a class junkie, a knowledge junkie anyway. But I always, in my personal development plan, set to take at least 2 classes for the year. And I'm going to put aside that money no matter what. I used to just have projects just for my class. This
Right.
project is going to pay for this, right? But you should always invest in yourself because if you don't, first, you won't know when somebody else tells you something if it's really true or not. If
Especially
you
these
don't,
days.
yes,
Right.
gets at least a little bit of knowledge around it to make sure that they're saying the right thing or what you think should be the right thing. So make that investment in yourself. There are free classes out there, people. There's so many free webinars out there. Just go on and look for that because that is really critically important. And what you were talking about is what I call SMART goals. I'm not the one who calls it, but that's a method that I use in goal setting. And our SMART goals make sure that you know where you are now and have a point of measurement and set a metric for your measurement. So SMART is the acronym for specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, relevant, and time-based. So when you set a goal, I was giving you the example, Audrey, of losing weight, which is a common New Year goal. You want to be as specific as possible. I will lose 12 pounds by December 30th of 2024. That's a specific number that you have. That's a measurable number. You can get on a scale and know whether or not you lose 12 pounds or not. It's attainable. You're not saying I'm going to lose 200 pounds or 300 pounds. That's a very attainable goal for someone for a whole year. It's very relevant to your life and it's time-based. You know exactly where you are now, January 1. You have a year to do this, and you can measure along in increments whether or not you're accomplishing that goal. And what I also said is make sure you know where you are now against that goal. So in the case of your weight, what would you measure? You'd get on a scale like right now. And if I'm at 150 pounds and I want to lose 12 pounds, but for a year, you know exactly what that is. That's very measurable. You get on a scale on December 30th, 2024, and did you lose 12 pounds based on my 150? Am I at 160 or am I at 140? Like, you can measure that to know where you are, whether or not you accomplished your goal. And that's the same in business. Just set a business goal. You know, if it's a revenue goal, know where you are now versus where you want to be. Then you back that up in order to get that goal. If I'm at 1 million, I want to be at 5 million. You know the things you need to do. Okay, now I have a big goal. What I'm going to break that up into little pieces. How am I going to get that? What am I going to do extra that I haven't been doing to get that? If I needed only 3 sales to make it to 1 million, how many do I need to get to 5 million? And you start working your numbers. It's all a numbers game.
It is a numbers game in repetition for sure, right?
Yes.
But I would say, I mean, yes, I think absolutely that model is fantastic. But for some people, they're like, I just want to have like a organic way of thinking about this because I'm just getting going. And what I would suggest to people is just think of what do you want to do versus what you need to do, and then stating those two things within the context of outcomes, because sometimes we can set goals, but do we envision what's on the other side of the goal? What is it that we're trying to get out of it and to actually achieve that's material? You know what I mean? So it's, what do I want to do? What do I absolutely need to do? And within the context of, even like you said, I want to make $1 million. Okay, that's great. What does that require? What will you need to do? What are the fundamentals of that? And then some of that is, what do I want to do, right? Some of that's like the fun stuff, or while I'm doing it, I want to, meet more people, or I want to make an impact on the industry or whatever, right? But that's still a little bit different than the fundamental bits that you have to do to really grind it out to get there, to get to those numbers like you were saying,
Correct.
and then see that
Correct.
outcome. Mm-hmm.
Correct. So if you're at $50,000 this year, you made 50,000 and you say, I want to be at 1 million. You have to fully realize in your numbers and in your strategy, is that attainable? That was the A in SMART, right?
Right.
Is that attainable for me to jump from 50,000 to 1 million in a year? For some people, it is. If you have a software, if you have technology that you're rolling out and this is going to really grow your business, it's not far-fetched. It might be attainable for you. But if I'm a one-man band and I'm doing coaching, or what levers do I need to pull to get to 1 million? I might have to increase my price astronomically. I might have to take on more clients, which is a time and material kind of thing.
Right. Right.
Am I, as an individual, do I have enough hours in my day to
Right.
take on that amount of work?
But it's funny when you were saying what you said earlier, that I also think that you can be very planful in terms of having those SMART goals, but I also think that to be flexible and agile, and this comes from what we've learned from COVID, is to have that opportunity goal too. Because do you recall during COVID, things emerged that we didn't never really envision. There were people that got rich
Oh, yes.
doing, going from a $50,000 consulting business to hundreds of thousands of dollars, because the demand was there, for whether it was for diversity and inclusion, or whether it was for
Yes.
setting up hybrid work, or whether or not it was for virtual work. There was an opportunity that was there. And so they were insightful to say, I have my plan, but I'm going to flex and be very agile and respond in kind to what the market is serving up. Can I do that? So I think we should always be watchful of that, because that's an
Yes,
opportunity.
goals should be flexible.
Right.
You should always review your goals on a quarterly basis to see if something is changing. Is it the politics around us is changing? Is it an election year that's going to change? Maybe there are people who have businesses based on their political affiliation. There are contracts with school boards, there are contracts with all government entities. And if that government changes, your contract you might either get more or you might lose your contract based on where you sit. So you have to take all these external factors into consideration when you're planning your goal, and always review it monthly, quarterly. You should know where you are really at the end of every day.
Right. And we've talked about a lot of things, but I want to come back to answering the question, why is it even important to set goals? Right? Because I think sometimes people kind of just meander through and they kind of, you know, kind of go with the flow. I'm over here, I'll do this, I'll do that. So I'm going to ask you, Dr. Webster, why is it important for people to even set goals to begin with?
It's been proven, and I don't have statistics in front of me, but it's been proven that people who set goals for themselves accomplish are very high achievers.
Mm-hmm.
When you have something to aim towards, your mindset is different.
Correct.
It gives you a target and you move against that target. It's just like if you're in the military, right? You have a target and you know what you need to hit in order to be successful. And so when someone sits and take the time to put a goal together and reach a goal, you're going to move heaven and earth to try to get to that goal. And I personally don't like to feel like a failure. When I have a goal, I will work really hard. And even if I don't make it, even if I don't make the goal, I know what I put into getting it. I try my best. I'll pull out all the stops. I'll talk to whomever I need to talk to. I'll do whatever sales. I'll pick up the phone because I want to meet that goal.
Well, yes, because you've already primed yourself for opportunities and actually being conscious about what it is, intentional about what it is you're looking to achieve. And so just like with visualization, when you're conscious about it, it just seems like it seems like the answers, the solutions, the opportunities get served up. Now, it's not magic, but it's just that you are now primed to pay better attention to go after it because you had put it in your head. So I do think that there is tremendous power in that. And just as a call out that, yes, we can have goals that we set, but certainly in the day to day, we can have mini goals that'll help ladder up to the big goals as well, right? That if we continue to keep things top of mind, it's not like we're going to write the goal down and just put it away, but really keep it active, really breathe life into it, that we keep looking for those opportunities. And guess what? They do materialize because we are now able to spot them better. And there's science behind that. That's not just Audrey D. White
Yes.
saying.
I use a vision board. I use the vision board to have the visualization, as you say. It's always in front of me. I keep one in this house and I keep one in the other house. I have it on my computer. When I get up in the morning, I see this thing. And I'm like, oh God, I gotta work a little harder. I know mentally where I am against that goal. I've got to work a little harder. I have a goal to write a book. Did I get to it? Every time I walk through my kitchen, it's there. What did I do today? You ask yourself, what did I do today towards that goal? And sometimes, like now, at the end of the year, I know I'm not where I should be on that goal. I'm going to sit and take a whole week to work on this book.
That's great. That's
just to
great.
make sure that when December 31st comes, I'm a good way. Maybe if I didn't get there completely, I'm 90%, or I just need to get a publisher, or I need to get something. But I'm going to feel good about where I am against that goal. So having a target is mentally stimulating.
And by the way, Dr. Webster, you articulated that you are looking to write a book. So you never know who's listening. Maybe someone's listening right now and go, oh, I like her background. I like her story. We might want to think about.
I have several books in my head and I have some on paper. And like I said, the one that for the business one is on forming your advisory board, the advantages of an advisory board. I'm going to have something concrete by the end of the year that
Right.
next year comes, I can publish this thing because it's on my vision board and it's a goal that I keep on my calendar all the time. So you have to find ways of always getting that reminder. And the last thing that I want to say is make sure you have personal goals and business goals that sync. You
Right.
always, business is personal. Business is personal. If something happens to you in your business, it impacts what happens on your personal. And it could be catastrophic. It could be a good thing. Good things also impact you personally. Hey, maybe I could take that trip this year. But bad things, the catastrophic things, are really hard. You could get sick. You could lose a big client. That's 90% of your business. You know, a lot of us, when we're single entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, we have that one client that makes up a huge piece of our businesses. You lose that client, it's sink or swim. It's usually sinking. So think about those things. How does your personal impact your business when you're setting your goals and vice versa?
Right, but I think, and it looks like this is probably the last item on our list, but it also gets into the what and the how. So the what is the financials that you want to achieve, the metric that you want to achieve, the outcome that you want to achieve. But the
Mhm.
how is your character, your determination, all the things that you are doing as a person to build you from the inside, right? It's almost like, I can remember working at companies and they would evaluate individuals on you did great in accomplishing the goals, but you rubbed people wrong or you didn't get along
I
with your
got
teammates.
I got that all the time.
So you got dinged for that. So think about that, for even for ourselves, because again, many of us don't have leaders that are evaluating our performance, but you can evaluate your own performance in terms of how am I in managing uncertainty? How am I in being flexible enough to change?
And
Right?
the big thing about that is to have your personal development plan, just like you would,
Yes.
which we talked about.
Yes.
What are your personal development plans? Do you need to take a class in whatever your deficiency is? Hey, I'm horrible with people. I need to go take a people class. Or I don't know how to read my accounting sheets when my accountant gives it to me. What is cash flow?
Right.
Then go take a class in cash flow or in accounting so
Mhm.
that you can fully understand something better. So that's the only other thing I had to say is make sure your personal ties in with your business.
Agreed. So, okay, so do you want to do a quick little recap? I have like three or four, I think six things that I want to just leave people with, just to remember. That's just to highlight some of the things that we talked about. Would you like me to go first?
Go ahead.
So just in terms of, again, we said a lot, and this is just Audrey's list. So hopefully whoever's listening is making their own little bullet points in terms of the things that they want to take forward into 2024. My list is composed of know and honor where you are right now as you close out 2023. Understand what that looks like, right? In terms of did you accomplish, did you fall short? Um, and honor that. If you did great, fantastic, celebrate. If you didn't, look at it as an opportunity to learn and to use those learnings to set yourself up for greater success. And if you have little, gaps, fill them up. You know, get the training you need, ask for help, look for resources that can help you get stronger in those areas. And then also, again, that goes hand in hand with start with where you are. Start with where you are. We can't go back to January 1st of 2023, but we can definitely, look at right now, right? This very moment. And I can start here. I can start putting that plan together or start really thinking more strategically. And to believe, we have to believe. And that's where I think your vision board comes in, right? To do the
Yes.
work, say, I believe I can actually do it. And then, of course, to take action and then to remember what you have promised yourself for 2024 as we get deep into 2024. It's not just for New Year's Eve. It's for the whole year long. It's to set
Yeah.
ourselves up for success. That's my recap.
And I just want to add, make your goals specific, make your goals smart. Use and you could just search up the SMART goal and see what it is. But it's very important to be able to go back at the end of the year and understand how you can measure and know that you were successful, and understand the whys. Why were you successful and why were you not successful? And with that, I think I feel good about leaving you to march forward into 2024.
And if you're watching this in 2024,
You're behind.
remember the goals that you set. Keep it going. Let it last. So thanks for everything, Sandy. And thanks everyone for being with us. Bye for now. Next time, we look forward to another session.
Happy
of
New
Private
Year.
Chat.
Happy New Year and happy holidays.